I'm WizeOldman, and today is a special day.
What makes it special, Wise?
I will tell you in a second, but thank you for appearing interested. As I'm sure you know, within the episodes of Let's Be Honest, I usually talk about service, standards, lots of hospitality-related issues, and of course, people. All in the name of us hopefully becoming a little better at this being human thing. And at the same time, hopefully killing off any inner arsehole that may be festering within us. However, today I thought I would give you a break from all of that. Why? Well, because it's only fucking Oscars Day, isn't it? Well, it is if you're kind of on it and you're listening to this on the day that I release the episode. So well done if you are. If not, I still love you. Why don't we get in the Oscars mood, shall we? Hello everybody and welcome to WizeOldmans LA Sunday evening, early hours in London and at the same time Monday lunch in Australia, together with whatever time it is in other places around the world. Alternative, it's just my opinion and who gives a shit anyway, Oscars awards ceremony. Pretty fucking catchy, right? Now I realise that this is not my normal kind of episode, but hey, as suggested, it's Oscars Day and who doesn't love the Oscars? Well, that's the problem, isn't it? I think a lot of us these days, it's kind of gone to shit, don't you think? There are so many reasons not to sit through 3.5 hours of this right-on, lovey, kissy, politically correct Starbucks eggnog-flavoured fucking nonsense these days. Am I right?
You're not wrong.
So instead, what you get here today with me is WizeOldmans' probably under 30 minutes, if you're lucky, historical Oscars roundup. You're welcome. Hopefully it will be more entertaining than the actual Oscars. Let's face it, the bar is pretty fucking low, isn't it? As mentioned, I'm WizeOldman and I will be your host. I will almost certainly stop this ridiculous voice the moment I finish the intro. I'm clearly having too much fun. So welcome again to the first and almost certainly last LA Sunday evening, early hours in London, Australian Monday lunchtime, whatever time it is in other places around the world, alternative, it's just my opinion, and who gives a shit anyway, Oscars awards ceremony, live-ish, from my living room. Fuck me, I'm glad I don't have to keep that voice up. Hello everybody for, what is it, the third time now? Welcome. Usually at this point in the Oscars there would be an opening monologue by some Academy puppet. And as we all know, some have been good ones. However, on the whole, they've really been fucking shite, haven't they? And seemingly getting worse as the years pass. We've had the pointless and the very pointless. For a start, we've had Ellen, you remember him, used to have a chat show, still might, who gives a shit, who is completely pointless unless giving away a family car, a flat screen TV, or a big cardboard cheque to a black family who's had it tough, presented by Michelle Obama, of course. Not forgetting all the white, overly excitable women who catch a glimpse of themselves on TV in the audience while clapping like special needs seals and doing something that was once a dance. Okay, people, now we want everybody to have fun, so Ellen will dance in amongst you like a regular person, because she's one of you. She's not, of course. So have fun, but don't look at her and never touch her. And even though she dances the same way to every song, you can't dance the same way. You also can't dance poorly, but your dance also can't be too good, because this is Ellen's show. Break a leg, everybody. Oh, and also if you look under your chair, there's an almond candle. What I think she should give away to all the soccer mums in the audience is a year's supply of margarita mix and a blender. You drink that pain away, girlfriend. There has been Jimmy Vanilla Bland Kimmel, who makes me want to die earlier than anticipated. This now becoming a distinct reality for me as he is hosting again this year. Safe, safe, safe. Not forgetting Amy Let's Talk About Vaginas and Why Women Are Better Than Men Schumer, together with the other two co-hosts that I bet nobody can remember their names. There was, of course, the good. When I say good, they did a job. Billy Crystal, good. lots of in-house Hollywood Jewish jokes that most of us don't get, and Hugh Jackman, who I personally thought was great, although it was a bit Tony's. 5, 6, 7, 8, turn, kick, turn. He was never confused. But what the Oscars really need is a big kick in the nads. It needs Ricky, Bill Burr, Louis C.K., Jim Jeffries, maybe even Chappelle. Okay, maybe not Dave. The show would take 6 hours. I mean, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were terrific at the Globes. Twice. I reckon the world would turn back on if this happened, because at the moment, the world is distinctly turned off. That said, this year is vaguely interesting with movies like The Terrific Banshees, The Amazing Elvis, and the completely wonderful and fucking mental Everything Everywhere All at Once. Not forgetting Tom in Maverick, who, according to the Spielberg, has saved cinema. Is Steve right?
Yeah, he's probably not wrong.
For me, the two Toms saved Hollywood's arse last year anyway. Two Toms being Maverick and Spidey. Anyway, blah blah, I'm really having to stop myself getting too much into this. For the record, if Austin Butler doesn't win the Oscar for Elvis, it's a fix. That wouldn't be like the Oscars, would it? What's also strange for me is we watch the ceremonies because of our favourite stars and movies, but we seem to love it more when the fun is poked out of them. Let's face it, when you talk about the Golden Globes, what do people usually say? Exactly. Ricky. That's it. For me, all it is these days is a safe host reading from an autocue with even safer jokes for the touchy-feely stars, and not really for the hundreds of people watching at home. Warren Beatty reading out La La Land as Best Picture by mistake, and Will slapping Chris like a little girl are most people's first thoughts and only memories of the last few Oscars. We might come back to the Fresh Ponce of Bel-End later, maybe. I actually can't believe that Chris Rock is even getting stick at the moment for his Netflix special by slagging off Will Smith. Jesus Christ, he should be able to say what the hell he likes for what he had to put up with. So today, you're kind of stuck with me as your host. Before we get into the short ceremony, let's pause for a moment and talk about love. I love the movies. And I suspect I'm not alone. When I was growing up in the UK, I loved the Oscars to the extent where I would meticulously set the video recorder to record the Oscars before I went to bed, or record the full programme the day after, making sure that I avoided all conversation that day as to not know who won the awards. I know, video recorders, fuck you. Then the next day, it was like Christmas. For the whole 4 hours, I would sit in my bedroom and dissect the ceremony, every bit of it. I loved it. Then later in life, when I became a proper grown-up-ish, I would stay up till the early hours of the morning to watch the ceremony. It didn't matter that it finished around 4 a.m. in the UK. It was the Oscars, man. Now living in Australia, it's a Monday noon affair. All very confusing, really. But again, I wouldn't miss it. I would often take the day off work just to watch the Oscars. Crazy to some, I know. Now, I did all of this not to be the first to comment the next day on who won or what scandal occurred. None of that shit. It was never like that. I didn't even care that anybody else was interested or watching. It was like when a kid says the moon only follows them. The Oscars, as far as I was concerned, was just for me. I watched and still watch those great moments over and over. Jack Palance at 73 years of age doing one-arm press-ups on the stage. Rocky and Ali sparring. David Niven and the Streaker. Of course, not forgetting in 1999 when Roberto Benigni winning for Life is Beautiful. The raw emotion, you just don't get that anymore. It really didn't hurt that the Oscar was awarded to him by Sophia Loren. Woof, woof, ding, dong, molto bella. I actually can't speak Italian. I may have just described some cheese or the Juventus midfielder. Look, I know a lot of people wouldn't even recognise some of those references, and that's completely cool. You will have your own favourite moments, and that's the beauty of it. Unfortunately, and as suggested, those spontaneous, wonderful moments are evaporating before our very eyes. But that's just how much I love the Oscars and the movies. Loved. Past tense. But we'll get to that in a minute. So for as long as I can remember, I would go to the movies at least once a week. Why did I always go to the movies? Well, because there was always something I wanted to see. And of course, it was always a nice little escape from real life sometimes. Escapism being one of the many, many reasons that people venture to the movie theatre. I don't know about you, but now I find that I look at the 7, 8, maybe 9 movies playing at the cinema these days and I go, well, I guess we could see this one. Let's face it, it's a struggle at best. Often it's just not the treat that it used to be. Going to the movies these days is almost like what you do when you don't want to go out drinking anymore. Oh, we'll just go to the movies. I certainly don't think the excitement level is the same as it used to be. Often you just end up saying, you know what, I can't be arsed. It'll be streaming in 2 weeks anyway. For me, generally these days, there is fuck all at the movies, and what's there just isn't really that good anymore. I was looking at venturing to the movies, I don't know, maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. This is what was on offer. Magic Mike 2, Fisherman's Friends, or Fisher Them Friends if we're going down that road, What's Love Got to Do With It, Knock at the Cabin, something like that, Selfie, and Ant-Man. Oh, fuck me, do you see what I mean? You would stand there if you were at the movies and you would look at the board. You would ponder for a while, which, if with a partner, might then turn into an argument, and then you'd go, do you know what, Ant-Man? Because it's on a big screen. I know it's another Marvel, but Paul Rudd's quite nice. It's got Michelle Pfeiffer in it. Or you might go, fuck it, should we go for that drink? As we're all fully aware, times have changed, and as mentioned, with streaming you can now watch from home, from the comfort of your own living room. This being good and bad in my opinion. Good because you don't have to listen to fuckwits talking through the trailers and most of the movie. The downside being you lose the thrill, the excitement, and as I've mentioned in previous episodes, the feeling of everybody being in the same place at the same time to watch the same thing. There's just an excitement about that. I mean, we've had some big movies over the last few years like Avatar 2, now it's on or in fucking water, I mean, who gives a shit, talking whales and all that bollocks.
Hey, but you're missing the point. It had a strong message about the planet. Ugh.
The only message I received is that James Cameron is a bit of a knob with a god complex. Even his initials are a giveaway. JC. I actually ended up caring a lot less about the planet after I'd watched the movie. We also had Jurassic Park, where they clearly realised that there is only so much you can do with dinosaurs. So instead of digging up the dinosaurs, hey, let's dig up all the cast from previous movies to make it interesting. Which it really, really wasn't. This kind of style being what they seem to be doing with all the movies these days, like the Fast and Furious nonsense. What is it, number 10 next? I don't know, I've never seen one of them. Why would I? Look, if it gets people to the cinema, then all power to it, but I don't usually like to comment on things I haven't seen, but I think it's a safe bet that it started off being about cars, then faster cars. I would imagine then they would throw in a heist, maybe a bit of gambling, sexy gyrating ladies, probably on top of cars. I would imagine they might even go to Europe to make it a bit Jason Bourne-ish. I'm thinking cars in space next. Let's not even get into the Marvel and DC stuff. I literally don't get it anymore. Doctor Strange? Fuck off, mate. Should have been called Doctor A Bit Shit. It's got more verses than the shit fucking American Pie song, and that's got a lot. As far as I can see, it's just a geek and a computer dicking about, making poor old, whatever his name is, being a Dick Cumbersnatch, wave his arms around for 2 hours. I hear even Iron Man is coming back. Maybe wrong. I know Keaton is coming back as Batman in The Flash, but he gets a pass. Because he's Batman. The real Batman. I could, as you can imagine, go on for hours about this shit, but I did promise I would keep this episode to under 30 minutes-ish. I think a short episode went out the window the moment I opened my mouth, don't you? So, what I thought I would offer up today is an alternative, a very different kind of movie ceremony. Possibly righting some wrongs along the way. Just to back up for a second and explain, I know that this podcast is about people, service, lots of hospitality stuff, and us being better as human beings, and that will totally continue. But as suggested, I just thought I would give you a break today. You might enjoy it, you might not. It's a risk, but what's life without a risk or two? Besides, movies are a big deal for a lot of people. A hell of a lot of us love movies. Apart from the people that say, movies, oh no, I don't have time for movies. How many people say that to you? Fuck, I get it all the time. With their false air of superiority that they have just plucked from their arse. As they read a book that takes 10 times longer or play video games all night. You're not better. You think you are. Everybody has time to watch a movie. If you don't like movies, just say, I don't like movies. Trust me, the person that does like movies doesn't give a fuck that you don't. In my world, which is historically a hospitality world, it's where a lot of us escape, whether it be on our days off or more often than not at the end of a day of tap dancing like a fucking monkey. So the Academy gives you the 95th Nonsense Awards ceremony, hot from the Dolby Theatre Hollywood. WizeOldmans brings you the first historical no-nonsense Who Gives a Shit Awards from his apartment. Enjoy. Your first category tonight. The Rotten Tomatoes said it was shit, and that's why I don't trust people to vote on anything anymore. Award. The nominations are Con Air, Tomato Meter 58%, Audience 75%, Should Be 100%, 80% for the film, and 10% each for John Malkovich and The Cage. History of the World Part 1, 61% and 81%. Really? It's Mel, I'm a Legend and You'll Miss Me When I'm Fucking Gone Brooks. It's an incredibly funny movie. Live and Let Die, 65% and 64%. Really, people? I have no words. This was Roger's first outing as Bond, and for what it's worth, my favourite Bond. This movie should be 100%, just for Roger running across the back of crocodiles with his hair not even moving one little bit. Also, he looked delicious in a beige safari suit. Special mention for the Bond girl, Jane Seymour, my first movie crush. Woof. I was 8. Go on, my son. Batman Returns, 81% and 73%. For God's sake, people, it's Keaton, the real Batman. DeVito's fucking scary Penguin. Smoking Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. And Christopher Walken. I rest my case. And the winner? The History of the World. A masterpiece. The next award is very important because I think we've all been there. It's the give me my money back, this should have been good, and I should have walked out but I stayed until the end, I'm never getting that time back, fuck you award. And the nominations are, and I'm sure some of these nominations will be very unpopular with some of you. Also, I do realise that there are a lot of bad films in the world, but as mentioned, these should have been good. The first nomination? Moulin Rouge. This should just be included because I actually did walk out of this one. La La Land. It just wasn't very good, was it? I think about 40 minutes in, I died a bit. The next nomination, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. 94% on tomatoes. Give me a break. I know people liked it, but they're wrong. Floppy student style nonsense. Avatar 2. It made me hate blue people. The Batman. The movie that went nowhere. Catwoman in a homemade woolly balaclava. Patterson, ooh, hello, I'm Batman. He looked like a disinterested gothic student with rich parents at a university fancy dress party. Twat.
But it was just like the comics. It was dark. It was so realistic.
Fine. Read a fucking comic then. This is a movie. And a shit one. Doctor Strange. The multi-tutti-frutti manverse of madness, whatever it was called. So bored. It was like watching Inception with 8 more levels. A movie that not everybody will know. Cowboys and Aliens. Harrison Ford. Daniel Craig. Aliens? Fucking cowboys? Fuck yeah, take my money. Actually, can I have it back? What a pile of tosh. And the winner. It's a tie between La La Land and Avatar. Because not only were they shit, they were both nominated for a Best Picture. Moving swiftly on before I get lynched, the next award is the I Don't Care If You Weren't Born, Do Yourself a Favour and Watch the Original Please, I Said Please award. The nominations are Death on the Nile, The new one, fucked up by Gal Gadot's blandness and an assortment of other pointless people looking suspiciously at everybody else, especially the one with the very silly moustache. You know Ken. The next nomination in this category is Arthur. Russell Brand, have a day off, mate. Your shit stinks. The amount you talk, you must give your arse a headache. Do yourself a favour, watch Dudley Moore in the quite perfect 1981 original, funny and feel-good movie. You want to see somebody play a drunk? This is it. The Pink Panther. Steve Martin. You've made some good movies, Steve, long time ago, but the pure fact that you took on this role, attempting to be a version of the great Clouseau. I have a question. Do you cry when you look in your children's eyes? Because you should. The next nomination? Gladiator. Oh, some people aren't going to like this. Sort of a remake of Spartacus. Depends on who you talk to, I guess. The greatest movie ever. Kirk Douglas, Tony Curtis, Olivier, Ustinov. My God, how can you compete with that? I'm not saying Gladiator is shit. It wasn't. It was good. But Spartacus? Another level. The Magnificent Seven. The connoisseurs will say that it's a remake of The Seven Samurai, but let's not get too wanky. Let's keep it to Western, shall we? Denzel? Shite. Again, the original. Brenner, Coburn, Bronson, McQueen. I know these names will be alien to some people, but just give it a go. And then there was the theme tune, possibly one of the greatest movie themes of all time. Makes you want to ride a fucking horse. And horses are scary. And The Thing, a John Carpenter horror flick from 1982 that was remade, unfortunately, in 2011. Now I realise the original was done under another name in 1951, blah blah blah. Again, let's not get too nerdy, shall we? Watch the original with Kurt Russell. Pure fear. And the winner goes to... Oh, it's a tie between Arthur and the Pink Panther. What were they actually thinking? Steve, stick to the banjo, and Russell, just shut the fuck up. Now then, like any good, lovey-kissy award ceremony, there will always be a special award. Maybe a lifetime achievement, maybe a humanitarian award. However, I feel I should go for something far more important. This is the How the Next James Bond Should Play Out, and if you think this is me indulging in my fantasy, you would be quite right. Award. Okay, let's get into it. Now, if I can't have Tom Hiddleston as Bond, which I don't think I can, as Bond is allegedly dead-ish, this is where I'm going. Oh, hang on. I think I'm having another stroke.
Of genius.
Fucking hell. How about a double Bond? That's right. Imagine this. Just picture this. The movie spends the first 20 minutes with a young Bond, just like they did in The Last Crusade, where River Phoenix played young Indy. Then he, of course, becomes Harrison at some point. Similar situation, no snakes. I hate snakes. In my version, he is a young, pissed-off orphan Bond in maybe his early 20s. Now, I'm going to say, and this will be controversial, Harry Styles, shut up, just bear with me. He's a good actor. He's a good-looking boy. He's British. Fuck it. If you can get him out of his grand's clothes, I think he'd do a great job. It's only for 20 minutes. Besides, from a ticket sales perspective, every middle-aged mum and daughter will venture to the movies. Well, for 20 minutes at least. Then, by the magic of movies, we become transported to the present day, whatever that present day is, just like in the indie movie, with a brand new Bond in his late 30s, which he was. Magic. Who is the new Bond? I have no fucking clue. However, I think that there is a very strong argument for an unknown, a clean slate. That would be ballsy. Also, I have something else. A new M, Idris Elba. A new Moneypenny, a hot Asian lady, like maybe a young Lucy Liu, a bit kick-ass, but not too much, because it's not all about you. Then a female Q, go geeky. Somebody like, what's her name? Is it Audrey Plaza? Geeky, but got a thing, and can look super if she has a special assignment or something. What do you think? Have I gone mad? Or madder? Why don't you let me know on Facebook how mad you think I've gone? So there we are. There's the Bond thing, and then the whole thing starts again. Just as a side note, Bond is British and male. No, you shut up. Now this next award is quite controversial. It's the They Should Have Stopped at One award. The nominations are, and there could have been so many more. The Godfather.
What the fuck?
I know. Again, 2 isn't bad, but it's not 1, is it? Avatar, obviously, almost goes without saying. Ocean's 11, 1 was enough, George. Ghostbusters, let's not even. First Blood, aka Rambo. Tremors from 1990, it's so bad, it's awesome, but 1 was enough. Wall Street, my favourite. Anchorman, Speed, Robocop, Wonder Woman. Grease, fuck me, 2 was just nasty. Matrix, how about Highlander? Even Connery couldn't save it. I actually think he made it worse. And finally, Jaws. That's an easy one. The winner is Jaws. The next award is for the wanker and the pretentious person that may exist in all of us. It's the films that you've pretended you've seen, or seen and pretended you liked but didn't, to impress somebody award. The nominations are Citizen Kane. Greatest movie ever, they say. I say, bullshit. On the Waterfront, because it's Brando. And you have to like Brando, right? The next nomination is Seven Samurai. Now, I know you didn't get to the end of it, by the way. Most people fucking don't.
But how could you not? Kurosawa is an amazing director. You have to feel it.
Whatever. Apocalypse Now. Again, because it's Brando, you have to like it. Personally, I think it was fucking hard work. And mental. Platoon was a far better war movie. How about The Artist? It's in black and white, so you have to like it. That's highbrow, right? Silent, and won 5 Oscars, including Best Film. It wasn't. No Country for Old Men. I really don't know why. How about Tenet? Not much to say about this nonsense.
What? You didn't understand it? See, this is the thing. You have to go more than once to fully understand it. That's the genius of Nolan.
Is it, though? 12 Years a Slave, because you feel you should. Spirited Away? Load of bollocks. Parasite, again, because it won lots of Oscars. People didn't really go and see it first time round, but when it won the Oscars, oh my God, it's the greatest movie ever. Casablanca, because it's allegedly a classic. And Black Panther, because there was a message. And the award goes to Citizen Kane. Spoiler alert, Rosebud was the sled. I don't care. It was like 1957 or something. If you haven't seen it now, Now the next award is the please go back and watch a proper adventure movie at the cinema, not this modern formulaic toss award. What not to watch is The Lost City, Channing Tatum, Uncharted, Tom, and The Rock in Jungle Cruise. Now the nominations for what you should watch are The Jewel of the Nile and Romancing the Stone. Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito. Great fun and amazing chemistry between Douglas and Turner. Indiana Jones, 1 and 3, goes without saying of course. Maybe 2 and 4 because it's indie, but don't get too excited, which is doubtful. The Original Mummy, not the one with Cruise, that was just horrible. National Treasure, 2004, because it's got the cage in it. And just a personal thing because it's one of my favourite stories of all time, King Kong, the Peter Jackson version from 2005. Bit long, Pete, but it's still good. And the winner by a country mile, Indiana 1, Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it was kind of the first, and for me, a perfect movie. Now moving along very swiftly to the next category, this is the comedy movies that just aren't fucking funny, although other people in the cinema were rolling around laughing, and I didn't know why, award. The nominations are Will, I wish he would have slapped Mickey Rourke as he would now be in Hospital Smith, in Wild Wild West. Johnny English, Ace Ventura, Zoolander 2, Bill and Ted and All Their Fucking Adventures, Sister Act, most, if not all, of Kevin Hart movies, and just to piss off the Australians, The Castle. I'm going to go with the winner being Zoolander 2, just because expectations were so high. We are now almost at the end of the ceremony, boys and girls, mums and dads, but the next is the 2 is better than 1, meaning what came second was better, and I don't think any of these things are up for debate. Award. The nominations are Terminator 2, Judgment Day, The Dark Knight, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and Aliens, being the second one. By the way, there was a people's vote in this category as well, and many people did vote for Godfather 2. Luckily, the Academy, today being me, completely ignored those votes. So unlucky. The winner? Terminator 2. That was pretty easy.
You stole our votes. You stole our votes.
Yes, I did. The next and final category in this ceremony is the Don't Be Put Off Just Because It's Subtitles, Grow Up, These Movies Will Move You award. The nominations are From Denmark, The Hunt, Fucked Up and Frightening, As It Could Happen. The next nomination is from the Germans, Look Who's Back, When Hitler Comes Back to a Playground in 2014, dark and funny. From South Korea, Memories of Murder, just messed up. And finally from France, The Untouchables, a beautiful and funny movie that Hollywood did their best to remake and fucked it up again with your friend of mine, Kevin Hart. I've really got nothing against him, but he should fucking leave it alone. The winner, The Untouchables. What was the purpose of this, I hear you cry? Who knows? A break from the norm, a bit of fun. Was it a little indulging? Yeah, maybe. Look, I could have talked for hours and thrown in many obscure movie references to flex my self-proclaimed cinematic muscles, but all I could hear in my head was the words wanker, just like I did after using that last line. So I'll say it for you. Wanker. That said, I do know my way around a movie. However, there isn't a day that goes by where somebody doesn't suggest a new movie or something that I missed along the way, which I love, and that's what we should all be doing. Let's be honest, every time you have a conversation with somebody these days, they will say, "Oh, have you seen?" And then they will reel off a mini-series that's just dropped on Netflix or Amazon. We just don't appear to do it as much with movies anymore. Let's not forget, there are some great movies that we have all missed. I mean, what I find is, more often than not, people will revert back to oh, I don't have time for movies. That's why I watch miniseries. I find them more stimulating. Well, yeah, but you've just watched 4 in a row, which was longer than the movie. You can sit through the second fucking Avatar, but you wouldn't dream of sitting through Gandhi, would you? Sometimes it's just fun to step out of your comfortable lane and to open your mind to something new, something old, or just something very different. How about this? When you're with your partner, don't just sit there and try and watch something that you both need to agree on. Sometimes, as I'm sure a lot of you would agree, that can take longer than actually watching a movie. So you choose a movie one night and they, your partner, or I don't know, even your flatmate, they choose on a different night. Yes, if you're a bloke, you might end up watching The fucking Notebook and vomiting all over the new throw cushions, but you get a point from your partner and you've done a nice thing. You may even get in touch with some of your feelings. Doubtful. That is until you make her watch Zulu from 1964 and you cry when the Welsh Guards sing Men of Harlech. Then she looks at you and she goes, "And this is what you cry at?" Either way, we all might learn something new in those moments about life, movies, and our partners. Also, I wonder how many people under the age of 30 have actually watched films like Zulu, Lawrence of Arabia, A Passage to India, Casablanca, Ben-Hur, The Great Escape. I was actually talking to a friend of mine yesterday. I think he's, 25-ish. He hadn't even heard of any of those movies, let alone seen them. I found that quite shocking, and he proclaims to like movies. The funny thing about a lot of the classics is that that's where the ideas for the movies that you watch now have come from. It's like music. A young person wouldn't dream of listening to, Bowie, Stevie Wonder, Luther Vandross, The Four Tops. Where do you think the artists that you listen to now get their ideas? You think Bruno's stuff is original? Or Queen Beyonce's Crazy in Love? Oh, it's the greatest single ever. I bet you think that's an original, don't you? I mean, you won't, but if you cared, why not listen to You Are My Woman? I think it's by the Shylights from 1970. Your opinion will change overnight. Well, it actually won't, will it? But I'm not saying the original on this occasion is better, but you have to listen just to see if you can get the subtle similarities. By the way, I'm pulling a sarcastic face. It's the fucking same. Am I right?
Yes.
So, if like me you are slightly disillusioned by TV remakes of Arnold's True Lies, movie remakes of, I don't know, Dr. Dolittle, Footloose, The Lion King, even fucking Dumbo, poor examples I know, do not despair. There are many beautiful things still out there. You just have to, as suggested, step out of your lane. Go back in time, maybe just for the fuck of it, when you were sitting with your partner one night. Pick a decade. How about this? Starting next week, you have to watch something from the 60s. You may stumble upon Breakfast at Tiffany's, Goldfinger. Hit up the 70s with the original Superman and Rocky. The 80s were amazing. Maybe Scarface and Trading Places. How about the 90s, American Beauty and Misery? The list of more than watchable movies from those decades is way too long to even mention. Or, as a nice alternative, you could just fuck about on Netflix and watch Adam Sandler or Kevin Hart's new custard pie comedy romp. What fun. Which I guarantee you will forget you have watched the moment you have just posted that you have just watched and LOL'd. Anyway, movies are a beautiful thing, so why deprive yourself of something beautiful? That's just silly. If they won't come to you, then you should go to them. Movies, that is. Starting today, just for fun, because it is going to be way out of most people's comfort zone. Sit down with your partner. 1957. Yes, the world was in colour then. With, for me, one of the best romantic comedies ever. An affair to remember. Just think sparkly, classy lady with a cheeky sense of humour and the coolest, smoothest man ever that could charm paint off a wall. Just make sure that you have the tissues ready. No, not the happy ones. Fuck, right at the end, I had to lower the tone, didn't I? Well, I rather enjoyed that. I hope you did also. If you agree or disagree, feel free to comment on the Facebook page. Let's be honest with WizeOldmans. Next week, normal service will be resumed. I hope you have a good week. And as always, be kind, be nice, and try not to be an arsehole to anybody, unless they deserve it. Now, I would like to sign off and say that there are a lot of movies about real life at the cinema these days, and where I do believe it is great to raise awareness and to know what's going on in the world, sometimes maybe just climb inside the screen and disappear just for a few hours. That's also kind of fun, and quite often needed. Besides, you don't need to be the first to comment on the next thing on Instagram. The world can live without you for the length of a movie. See you next time.